Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in a new what if called, What If Jaune Arc was betrayed and became Megatron Part 1. Link in the description of the fanfiction of this what if. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter 1. Darkness, that was the last thing he saw. Megatron, who is known as the leader of the Decepticons. A brutal and powerful warrior in the planet of Cybertron, a planet that houses a race of autonomous robotic organisms. A world more advanced than anything the galaxy has ever seen. The Decepticons, the faction he ruled and commanded with an iron fist, soldiers that are known in Cybertron to be ruthless, brutal, aggressive, diabolical, destructive, treacherous, but most importantly loyal and to him only. Well, maybe except for a certain number of individuals. He remembered everything. They lost, the Decepticons lost despite everything they have done. Megatron remembered how it happened, how all of this started. The war on Cybertron lasting for eons, destroying the very planet they call home, the Autobots sending the Allspark out of Cybertron and away from the Decepticons' hands, and him following after it. He remembers landing on that pathetic insect planet, the moment he was encased in ice and remained frozen for decades. Then the moment he woke up, screaming out to all of those insects that treated him like he is some sort of experiment, something to be studied. Megatron. I am Megatron. Then there was the battle for the Allspark, his soldiers failing to retrieve the Allspark and being destroyed by the Autobots with the help of their new human allies, then the moment he perished, because of that boy, Sam Witwicky. He remembered he was gone for quite some time, until he woke up again, buried underneath the sea of the planet. He flew himself upwards, out of the sea and into the stars, until he reunited with his master, the Fallen. He has accomplished his task and killed his greatest enemy, Optimus Prime. But even with his master's arrival and the activation of the weapon, the Harvester, it was all for nothing. He lost his arm and half of his face against his fight with Optimus Prime. He watched as his master was killed by Prime. Months, years have passed as the Decepticons went into hiding, plotting their next plan of attack, and it worked. The Autobots didn't suspect a thing when their ally, the one they trusted the most, Sentinel Prime, betrayed them. He watches from his new throne as his Decepticon army from the moon lay rampage all across the city. He followed the plan and watched as the pillars brought their home of Cybertron to Earth. But that was all for nothing, after he betrayed and assisted Prime in dealing with Sentinel. He watched as Cybertron was sent back to where it came from as the view of his home was out of reach. And he remembered the very last words he said to Optimus Prime before his fate was sealed. Megatron. Besides, who would you be without me, Prime? Optimus. Time to find out. Optimus retracts back his faceplate and threw his axe right at Megatron's chest before he was about to shoot Prime with his weapon. Optimus sprints towards Megatron and grabs the axe off of his chest, energon oozing out of it as he sees Optimus spin around, delivering a kick that pushes him to the ground. Optimus then stuck the axe right in Megatron's face, lifting him up using the weapon as Optimus rips Megatron's head out of his body. Multiple parts and sparks fly out of Megatron's body as it collapses to the ground, with Optimus dropping the axe with Megatron's head still stuck to it. The optics flicker before it dies down, signaling the end of Megatron. That was it, that was all he remembered before he woke up here. Megatron now appears in some sort of bridge, similar to that of the Nemesis he has commanded back on Cybertron. He sees the reflection of himself in the glass and sees his appearance. It is that of his original form, the form he has during his days in Cybertron and the time when he first arrived on Earth. Megatron. What sorcery is this? How am I here, and where am I? Megatron sees the console in front of him and walks towards it, typing out the location of this sector, to find out where exactly he is. The screen was about to show the location, but he was interrupted when he heard a voice call out to him from behind. Lord Megatron. Is that you? You are functional. He aims his fusion cannon at the intruder, but was shocked when he saw who was in front of him. It was a familiar face. A treacherous face. Megatron. Starscream. How are you here? What is going on? Explain yourself. The figure who he is speaking to, now named Starscream, whose features all around his body represent a jet, walks to Megatron and does a mocking bow in front of him. Starscream. It is honored to be graced by your presence, Lord Megatron. But I do not know how I got here. All I remember was the battle in that wretched planet. Then all I saw was darkness and then I woke up here. Megatron. Spare me the mockery, Starscream. Have any of the other Decepticons in our ranks arrive in this ship? If I'm correct, then that means all of us have perished by the hands of the Autobots and their pathetic human allies. Starscream. Indeed they have, my lord. They are on their way here as we speak. He nods and goes back to the console to see the location of where they are. But before he did that, he turns around hearing the sound of the doors opening to see the Decepticons who have unwillingly, like him, ended up on this ship. The first Decepticon he sees is one of his most trusted lieutenants and one of the most loyal of the Decepticons. He is Soundwave, the Decepticon communication officer. Beside him are the Decepticons Megatron remembers from the battle for the Allspark, and how all of them perished. The first Decepticon is known as one of the officers in their ranks, he is Barricade. The next is the more brutish among their ranks, like with the other Decepticons. We all know them to be brutal and ruthless, but these Decepticons are something else, they will not hesitate to rip your spark out. This Decepticon is Bonecrusher. And the other is their weapons specialist and another one of these brutes, this Decepticon is named Brawl. And the last of them, his height towers almost everyone in the room, he is almost as close height with Megatron himself and even Starscream. This Decepticon is named Blackout. All of the Decepticons in the room all kneel down, bowing their heads and saying the very words upon his presence. Everyone, Lord Megatron, Megatron, rise my Decepticon, we have much to do. He looks over to Soundwave. Megatron, Soundwave, what have you to report? Have you found out where we have ended up? Soundwave, affirmative, Lord Megatron. He walks up to the middle and shows them a hologram of a ship. One that feels similar to them, but is completely different. Soundwave, I have scanned and hacked through the servers of this ship and found it is of Decepticon origin. I traced the schematics and found that this ship is known as the Nemesis. A ship that we are all familiar with. Megatron, indeed, a ship I once commanded back in Cybertron and now it appears it has returned in a much better state than what I have seen before. The hologram changes, and shows the multiple halls around the Nemesis, showing numerous other Decepticons on board the ship. Megatron wonders how the Decepticons arrived in this so-called Nemesis. From what he can gather, he perished on Earth, and looking at his warriors, he already theorized beforehand due to seeing the Decepticons in front of him that everyone here had perished against the Outbots, whether it be on Cybertron or on Earth. Megatron, it seems something or someone decided to give us Decepticons another chance of life. But the question is, where did they send us? Soundwave now shows a supply room filled with numerous weapons, as well as a fuel supply room all stocked up in Energon. Soundwave, I did a systems check and found a manifest of all the supplies in the Nemesis. We found that we are heavily supplied with weapons and gear. I also found this in the storage manifest. He now shows a hologram of said object, one that Soundwave, Megatron, and Starscream are all too familiar with. Starscream, the pillars. Megatron, indeed, it seems they were also transported here alongside us. Sentinel Prime failed spectacularly on his plan to bring Cybertron to Earth, but I believe where we are. We can do just that. Starscream, Soundwave, do tell us where we all exactly ended up in. Soundwave nods and shows a picture of the planet's moon. The Decepticons see the moon and were surprised by it. 1. Because it looks familiar to them since it is similar to what they saw on Earth, and 2. It's different for varying reasons. The moon is shattered into pieces. The minute Megatron sees the moon, he was engulfed with enormous amount of pain going through his head. He screams in pain and kneels towards the ground. Soundwave went up to check on him as Megatron got a new set of memories implanted on his head. Memories of his past life. He remembered who he original was, a man by the name of Jaune Arc. A boy who wanted to be a hero like his ancestors, like the stories his grandfather always told him. But that wish was denied by his family, because they deemed him to be weak, useless, his place is better off at home than out there. Which was unfair because the boy's sisters get to be trained. So why not him? What makes his so different? They didn't see potential. They refused to admit that he can be strong like the others. So the boy decided to do something foolish, something he knows will lead to grave and dire consequences. He ran away from home. He ran away to start his journey, with or without his family. The boy went to a prestigious school under the guise of fake transcripts. One that he knows is a grave crime in this planet. But he still did it anyway, all for the sake of becoming a hero. To make his family proud. But will they be proud? Will they be proud despite what he did? The boy accomplished many things despite him not having any training whatsoever. In his initiation, he led a team, people who he only met that day, and defeated the monster. The headmaster gave him a position of leadership, because he believes the boy has potential and that he did. It can be something great if people can actually know how to teach and guide him. But sometimes, all good things must come to an end. The boy revealed his transcripts to his partner, but was heard by a third party. The man blackmailed the boy into doing his bidding, treating him like some kind of slave, and the moment he saved him, the moment he saved the man from death. The boy thought he would follow his end of the deal, but the man decided not to. The man revealed his secret to all of the people in the academy, and of course, they didn't take it too well. Every single student in that accursed academy would beat the boy every day, despite him not doing anything harmful to the students. Their pride and egos were shattered by the thought of a boy who only wanted to be a hero like his family, was able to go to this academy with fake transcripts. To them it was unacceptable. The boy's friends abandoned over a piece of paper. All that bond and friendship they have earned was thrown down the drain in an instant. The boy had no one, not even his family. They called him a disgrace, banishing him from the family. If the boy does as much as try to contact one of them, he would be killed. He truly lost everything. Then that fateful day happened, the boy's death. The boy was pitted against one of his former friends, a blonde woman whose overprotective nature will get her younger sister killed. She beat the boy to death, not stopping when his aura was already on the red. He looked towards the teacher, one that is supposed to stop such events from happening, but allowed it to continue. The boy felt betrayed, helpless, no one is there to help him, support him, all his life. He was weak, with nothing left to lose. He closes his eyes until his vision became black and his spark was gone from this world. He was hated by his friends, his family, all of the people in that planet. He is being hunted down by the law, all because he wanted to be a hero. All because he wanted to make his family proud, and this is what happened to him. Jaune Arc was gone and Megatron was created. Megatron remembers it all that pain and suffering caused by those who he thought were his friends, but they weren't. He clenches his fist in anger, remembering all those painful memories as he stands up and gets a good view of Remnant from the bridge. He is back in this hellhole that he calls home. All of his subordinates watch as Megatron slams his fists on the console in anger, sparks flying around as the console goes haywire. Starscream. Lord Megatron. Megatron. Gather all the Decepticons in the Nemesis. I wish to speak with all of them. It's time I address where we are and what we shall do to this wretched planet. They all watch as Megatron exits the bridge of the Nemesis as Soundwave contacts all Decepticons to head to the hangar bay of the Nemesis. Time skip. In the Nemesis, all of the Decepticons have gathered in the hangar bay and are awaiting for Megatron's arrival. In the hallway, he sees his army, the army that he will bring upon Remnant and cause its destruction. He smirks at the thought and makes his way up to the middle. All of the Decepticons see Megatron and bow down to him. Everyone. All hail Lord Megatron. Once he reaches the middle, he looks behind him and sees a hologram of the Decepticon symbol in its full glory. He turns back to his army and addresses them all. Megatron. My fellow Decepticons. It seems that we all have been given a second chance of life. A second chance to redeem ourselves over the utter failures we have experienced on that wretched planet called Earth. But now it changes. The Decepticon logo turns off as the hologram now shows then planet of Remnant, with the shattered moon in the background. Megatron. This planet is called Remnant. It houses these insects similar to that of Earth. But they are far more primitive and arrogant than the humans we have encountered on Earth. They are weak and we are here to show them that, we will show these insects that we are the rulers of this planet, not them. All those that oppose us will be destroyed. He can hear all of the Decepticons cheer for their leader. Megatron looks to Soundwave as he shows everyone in the hangar bay a map of Remnant. Megatron. We will begin our invasion on this island. From what I was told, they call this the Dragon Continent. There are barely any life forms in this land, so we will use this as our base. All who stand against us shall be destroyed, leave no survivors and show them the might of the Decepticon cause. After that, we will use the resources to build our fortress, show the world our true strength, our power. Show them that we are the new rulers of this world. That we are their gods. All of the Decepticons cheered, ready for battle and to show the life forms of this planet just what they are made of, and there is no one that can stop them this time. Megatron. Onwards my Decepticons. We charge forth and claim our prize. To victory. Again, they all cheered for their leader as Megatron transforms into his alternate mode, which is a Cybertronian jet. He zooms out of the hangar bay and into the vast confines of space, where he flies towards the main area of the Nemesis and got a good look of the planet he once called home. Megatron. Finally, after centuries, eons, I have returned to this wretched world I used to call home. They will pay. They will all pay. For Remnant, Beacon, Atlas, the Arc clan, and everyone else will face the might of Megatron. Chapter 2. In the outskirts of the Dragon Continent, many villages all around can be seen in ruin, the houses all burned into crisps. This is because of the White Fang's actions. They wanted to make an example out of everyone, and they did. The White Fang went to numerous villages all across the Dragon Continent. They heard the people there are half-breeds, bred by humans and faunas. This is something that cannot be accepted in the White Fang. Humans should not be allowed to coexist with the faunas. They made sure to show these traitors their place. The White Fang slaughtered everyone, including the woman, the elderly, and even the children. All of them suffered for their crimes and paid the price. At least that's what the White Fang believes. After they killed all the villagers, they stole all their supplies and burned everything down to the ground. The White Fang knows the Four Kingdoms don't care for the rural villages outside of their kingdoms, so it won't matter to them. They would chalk it up as a Grimm attack like they always do. In the middle of the Dragon Continent is a makeshift HQ for the White Fang. This was built from the remains of another village that they destroyed. The White Fang are doing their daily tasks and are scouting out for more supplies, as the number of villages here are still high and in need of cleansing. One of the White Fang scouts stationed in their many poorly made watchtowers looks through the forest to see if any unsuspecting travelers or villagers end up here, and if they do, they'll kill them. The scout continues to survey around the tower, but notices something up in the sky. He uses his faunus traits to look closely and sees something related to a flying object. Seeing this, the scout panics and quickly brings out his binoculars to see if it's actually a ship or a Grimm. He looks through it and sees something peculiar. It's a ship all right, but it ain't any ship he has even seen before. The ship can be seen heading towards their base. The scout quickly rushes out of the watchtower to inform the White Fang branch that Atlas may have found the location of their base. But the scout didn't get the chance, when a swarm of missiles hits the watchtower, killing him. And it's not just the watchtower, the missiles all made impact around the base, destroying a few houses that were storing much of their supplies. This caused all of the White Fang to rush out to see what's going on. White Fang officer, what's going on? Are we under attack? White Fang soldier, yes sir. It's Atlas. One of their ships blew up most of our supplies and they're targeting the bullheads. White Fang officer, I need soldiers to get on those bullheads and shoot that ship down. Now. The White Fang soldier nods and rushes off to the bullheads along with a couple of other faunus, but were met with explosions coming from the jet as it targets the bullheads, destroying it entirely into pieces. All of the White Fang stop dead on their tracks seeing this, with some fleeing to the forest. They look up and see the jet making another pass to their base. The White Fang aimed their weapons at the jet and fired, hoping it will take damage from their shots. But it didn't. The jet makes its way towards the faunus, and once it's close, the jet transforms, revealing itself to be a giant robot. Its menacing appearance terrified all of the White Fang as the Decepticon looks down on them. He will definitely enjoy this. The White Fang are now up against the Decepticon, Thundercracker. He transforms his arm into his weapon and fires a blast that sends a shockwave hurling towards one of the houses, causing an explosion. He even fires off projectiles from his arms, ripping the White Fang into shreds. White Fang soldier, what is that thing? White Fang soldier, who cares? Just shoot it. The White Fang all aimed their weapons and fired at Thundercracker. Said Decepticon raises his arm to block the shoots. But something shocked him. When the bullets hit him, it didn't do anything. The bullets somehow explode into particles when they make impact on his armor. It didn't do any damage at all, not a single scratch or dent. Thundercracker laughs seeing this. Thundercracker, this will be fun. He smirks and boosts himself towards the White Fang, firing out a cluster of missiles that annihilate the faunus. Explosions rain out all around the Dragon continent as another jet flies towards a White Fang base situated in the continent. This time, it isn't some futuristic jet. No, it's an Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor jet, but the difference between this one is it has a black and purple color scheme. The fighter jet fires off missiles, destroying parts of the base, sending all of the White Fang flying. The jet went for another run and, like with Thundercracker, transforms into their robot mode, landing towards the row of bullheads that are situated on the ground. The Decepticons sent the bullheads flying as the White Fang ran for their lives. The Decepticon they are facing is Skywarp. He equips his dual missile launchers in his arms and fires. Multiple explosions erupt all around the base, with the White Fang retreating to the forest. Some stay and fight but were ultimately ripped to shreds when Skywarp fires the minigun at them. Skywarp sees a bullhead firing its cannons at him. He laughs at their pathetic display of force and uses his boosters to fly himself to the ship. Skywarp grabs the bullhead's engines and spins it around, throwing the ship right at the ground, causing a crash then followed by a huge explosion. Skywarp, commence the attack. Lay waste to this land and leave no survivors. In the lands of the Dragon continent, the skies were filled to the brim with Decepticon-class Alpha drone units. The drones fire off beams from their cannons, causing numerous amount of destruction all around the Dragon continent. They destroyed all of the White Fang's bases, leaving none of them alive to tell the tale. The Decepticons even went as far as to destroy what's left of the villages. The villagers pleaded with the cons, but were met with deaf ears as they turned them into nothing but ash. Due to the amount of fear and panic the White Fang and even the villagers are bringing, all that negativity is causing the Grimm to appear, surrounding the drones. One of the Decepticons leading this unit transforms and lands in front of the Grimm. His form isn't like Skywarp's but has a similar design to Thundercracker, only that his head has a cone shape on it. This is the Decepticon known as Ramjet. Ramjet. Drones, eliminate these creatures at once. We must prepare for Lord Megatron's arrival. He expects no failures from us and we must ensure that. The drones nod and began dispatching the hordes of Grimm that appeared. Ramjet took interest at the Grimm and decided to test his mettle against them. He spots a bunch of Beowulfs, Ursas, and Borbatusks charging at him as Ramjet hovers in the air and fires a swarm of cluster bombs at them, causing numerous explosions that turned the Grimm into ash. Ramjet took note it was quite easy to take these creatures out. Ramjet. This is new. Usually when you face creatures like this, it would take a while for our weapons to kill them, but it won't matter. This makes it easier for us to kill these creatures with ease. He aims his laser cannons at the sky and fires, taking out a large swarm of Nevermores flying around, finishing it off by firing missiles, dispatching what's left of the Grimm horde in front of him. Ramjet now sees more Grimm heading his way. This time they are Death Stalkers. He equips his lethal vibro claws and uses his boosters to fly his way towards them. He slices two of the Death Stalker's stingers then proceeds to stab them both in the head. One tried to get the jump on him, but Ramjet slices its claws off, finishing it off by ripping its head out. Seeing the losing battle, the Grimm turned tail and run, but were met with a fiery demise when the drones showed up and blasted them into pieces. Ramjet scans the area and sees that it is clear. He went up to his arm and presses a button. A small hologram of Starscream's head appears. Starscream. Ramjet, report. Ramjet. We've secured the area and eliminated the populace of this land. We even encountered numerous creatures in the area. Apparently the drones reported that there are more of them in this land. We will focus our efforts in eliminating this infestation permanently. Starscream. Good. Oh, and keep an eye on that traitorous leech. Lord Megatron is here and I do not want him trying anything under his presence like he has done with me. One misstep and I will make sure he gets terminated on the spot. Ramjet. Understood, Starscream. He ends the transmission when he was met with an explosion from the distance and flies towards it. In the mountains, numerous hordes of Grimm can be seen fleeing for their lives. Lasers shot out, destroying everything in its path as the mountain is nothing but a flaming landscape. The Decepticon that done this hovers in the air before landing on the ground. He looks around, seeing his work and observes the entire area. This Decepticon is Dreadwing, who was once a Class Alpha drone unit, before he evolved into a warrior in his own right and is put in charge of the entire drone army. Dreadwing. How curious. The Decepticon hovers around the battlefield and spots a dying Grimm who is crawling its way out of there. Dreadwing lands beside it and began to examine the creature, fascinated by how the creature looks and acts. Dreadwing. This creature is different than the ones we have encountered and faced when those vermin attacked Cybertron. I will have to inform Flatline about this, he will definitely use these creatures for his experiments. Ramjet. And let's not hope you don't have something nefarious up your sleeves, Dreadwing. Dreadwing looks towards the sky to see Ramjet transforming and landing beside him along with a squad of drones. Dreadwing. Fear not, Ramjet. I learned my mistakes from what happened before. I will not make them again. Ramjet. I find that hard to believe. Dreadwing. I do not care if you believe me or not. But all I care about is proving myself to Lord Megatron. He seems to take a keen interest in this planet and I intend to prove myself to him by accomplishing the tasks he has given me. After all, my armies easily wiped out the life forms of this land. Ramjet looks around the forests, seeing it to be nothing but a fiery landscape. He is right, the drones did their job. He won't admit it to inflate Dreadwing's ego even more, obviously. Suddenly, they get a transmission from Thundercracker. Thundercracker. Ramjet, Dreadwing, Starscream wants you to take a squad of drones to scout out the continent. We need to make sure no one is allowed to enter nor leave this place. We can't have the insects alert their allies. Ramjet. Understood. The two nod to each other, before they transformed and flew on out of there. They take to the skies while being followed by their squad of drones. In the bridge of the Nemesis, Megatron, alongside Starscream, Soundwave, and now joined by another one of Megatron's key lieutenants, Shockwave. All look towards a hologram of the map of Remnant. The map labels the 4 kingdoms, including that of Menagerie to be red, while the Dragon Continent is now labeled purple. Starscream. Lord Megatron, Thundercracker and Skywarp reported that all life forms have been disposed of in the Dragon Continent. We have Ramjet and Dreadwing heading to the waters of the land to make sure no one leaves or enters. Megatron. Excellent, have the Constructicons and the drones begin building the fortress. I want this done in a matter of days. Starscream nods and gestures to Soundwave to contact the Constructicons to begin working. Megatron now focuses the hologram on the 4 kingdoms. Megatron. Now then, our next plan of approach is to send our warriors to the cities of the 4 kingdoms. These insects aren't as powerful and well equipped compared to those we have faced on Earth. But do not let that fool you, they still have some tricks up their sleeves and may capture you should you underestimate them and will no doubt use your body for their experiments. If I so much as hear that you got yourselves captured by these pathetic insects, I will make sure to rip your sparks out myself. All of the Decepticons present in the bridge of the Nemesis got the picture. Megatron. Now then, on to more important matters. Soundwave, I will have you send Ravage to this location. This is the Arc clan's main compound, have Ravage infiltrate the compound and hack their servers. I wish to know what the Arc clan is doing for they will be an obstacle in the near future. Soundwave. Understood, Lord Megatron. Megatron. Starscream, send Barricade to the Kingdom of Vale, have him bring Frenzy along to infiltrate the CCTS tower located in the academy called Beacon. There, he will hack their systems and give us full control of their network. The humans of this world rely on only one network, thus making it easy for us to control everything in this planet. Starscream. Of course, my master. But what will you have me do? Megatron reluctantly had to say this to him, knowing what will come after this. Megatron. You will remain in the Nemesis to oversee operations in the Dragon Continent. I will head to Menagerie with Shockwave and giving you command of our forces, for now. Starscream was happy to hear of this news. Starscream. Of course, Lord Megatron. I will make sure the fortress is finished before you even arrive. This I assure you. Megatron marched forward towards Starscream and grabs him by the throat, lifting him up in the air. Starscream. Lord Megatron. Megatron. If you ever try to cross me again, Starscream, I will reduce you into titanium fragments. He drops Starscream to the ground and makes his way to the main console, located in the front of the bridge. From there, Megatron takes out a device that was given to him by Soundwave. He informed him he found this weapon or artifact in the weapons vault in the Nemesis. Shockwave. Lord Megatron, what is that device you are in possession of? Megatron. This. As he holds the device and shows it off to the Decepticons. Megatron. This device is known as the Seed. From what the archives in the Nemesis stated, this is a device made by the creators and contains elemental transformium that is the primal material of a Cybertrinanes. It functions by being primed, then detonating, turning all organic matter around it into molten metal. We will use this device on the lifeforms of Menagerie and turn every single one of them and their home into metal. He presses a button on the bridge, with the screen now showing the island of Menagerie. Megatron. After all, from the images that were given to us by the ship, it seems the people of this world don't seem to care for this land, giving us the perfect opportunity to turn their home into a land of molten metal. Once that is done, I will have all Decepticon forces retrieve these items. He went up to the console and presses a certain number of keys. The entire window of the bridge darkens, now showing an absurd amount of Cybertrinane text all in red. Starscream. Lord Megatron, what are these coordinates we are seeing? Megatron. These are coordinates that will lead us to the relics of Yakin. These are what you would say, relics that somehow ended up on the planet of Remnant. I will have our forces scatter to retrieve these relics before the humans of this planet do. We will initiate this operation once we have accomplished the tasks I have given you. Once he was done speaking, Megatron began walking towards the exit of the bridge. Megatron. Soundwave, Shockwave, come with me, I want all our forces ready by the time I arrived in the hangar bay. Soundwave. Yes, Lord Megatron. Megatron. Starscream, if I hear as much as an operation gone to dust, I will make sure to rip out your spark when I return. Starscream. Of course, Lord Megatron. I assure you, I won't fail you. In the hallways of the Nemesis, Megatron can be seen walking to the hangar bay alongside Soundwave, Shockwave, and now joined by Barricade. Megatron. Once we have access to the planet's network, I want all of you to send our forces to destroy every single base on this planet. From what I can gather, they only have one standing military, and if we eliminate them, then the planet will have no defense against us. Soundwave. I expect you to be ready once Frenzy has the information. Soundwave. Affirmative, Lord Megatron. Megatron. Barricade. Once you arrive in the city of Vale, focus your efforts on surveillance in the Academy of Beacon. There are obstacles that need to be kept watch, and if there are certain individuals that are willing to work with us, I will send Shatter and Dropkick to deal with negotiations. Barricade. I understand, Lord Megatron. It will be done. Megatron. Task Sideways and Demolisher to investigate a mountain in the Kingdom of Vale called MT. Glenn. The info that was given to us stated that a vast supply of energon is hidden beneath the mountain and its surrounding terrain. Soundwave. Lord Megatron, Thundercracker and Skywarp have reported spotting numerous amount of energon mines in the Dragon continent. I speculate there are more of these kinds of mines in the planet. Megatron. I see. I will give you that task, Soundwave. Ensure the humans do not retrieve an ounce of energon. If they do, get it back. Soundwave. Affirmative, Lord Megatron. Megatron. In due time, once the humans get word of what will happen in Menagerie, we will reveal ourselves and show them their place. This I swear. The Decepticons all nod, but they all look to themselves, wondering how their leader, Megatron, knew all of this information beforehand. Soundwave was also interested by this due to not knowing of this until he was told of it. He only found the map of Remnant in the data logs and that was it, any other info wasn't present. But one information that stood out the most to him was the Arc clan. Who are these people and why does Lord Megatron want to know information about them? He will get his answers once he sends Ravage to that compound. But some of the Decepticons have a feeling that Megatron is familiar with this place and speculated he encountered the people of this planet during his hunt for the Allspark. But they decided to leave the thought for now, in fear that they may incur the wrath of their leader. All of them made it to the hangar bay as a battalion of Decepticons can be seen waiting for their leader to arrive as they stand next to the Decepticon dropship. Megatron heads inside the dropship followed by Soundwave, Shockwave, Barricade, and the Decepticon soldiers with them. The dropship takes off as they begin their operation. And this is the end of part 1 of this new What If. I hope you guys like it. Do not forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.